Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Kevin Hollinrake. I'm the Minister for Enterprise, Markets and Small Business. Winston Churchill said it better than anybody else, as he always does, when he said, some people see private enterprise as a predatory tiger that needs to be shot. Some people see it as a cow that they can milk. Few people see it for what it really is. That is the strong horse that pulls the whole cart. That's how important this conversation is. So really welcome to the NN Startup Day. This is so important for our economy. The UK has a proud record, actually. We're third in the OECD for startups. But my job as Minister for Enterprise is to make your job so much easier. And this is a great place to do my job because I've not been a career politician. I started politics in 2015. For 30 years before that, I was in business. And I know how tough it can be. But I also know how rewarding it can be.
So I'm with Alastair McLeod from the Business Doctors. Alastair, welcome today. Thanks for your time. Do you want to tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Sure. So Business Doctors is a business consulting, advising service for small to medium-sized businesses. We help them with their growth plans, whether they want to grow to a certain size or grow profitably to a certain extent, or to then exit at some point or acquire or hand over to another family member and so on. So small to medium-sized businesses, typically 2 or 3 right up to 50, maybe turnovers up to about 10 million.
And how sort of long have you been running the business that you're running? Because you're a franchise, aren't you?
A franchise, yeah. So I started a franchise late last year, actually. So it's pretty new to me. Self-employment is pretty new to me. I've been in salaried roles most of my life at senior levels in large and small companies. So this was a brand new adventure. So my paint is still wet, but I'm loving it. It's great. I love the small business space, particularly family organizational space. I worked in a family company for many years, and a lot of it rubbed off me in terms of their approach to business, how they have a longer term sort of planning horizons, how they think about their team as the extended family. And that's a nice idea. There are lessons you learn in larger companies. If you go into bigger companies, it's probably worth doing that for a while because you learn all about bottom line focus. You learn about good structure. You learn about discipline. You learn about delivering very, very sharply. So that gives you those kind of skill sets. But the family business is, I think, a nicer place to be in for the reasons I said earlier. Yep.
So what inspired you to start your business?
Well, I've been in large and small businesses for a lot of my life in a salaried role. And then last year, I had the opportunity to change that. I've been doing a lot of traveling. I have an 8-year-old boy that I wanted to see grow up. So I decided I wanted to give back something locally, work with small businesses full time. And so I chose the business doctor route as a way forward.
So what were the initial steps you took to actually launch the business?
Well, the first thing is do your homework. So decide exactly what your main skill sets are. And then also I think you've got to be really clear about your place in the marketplace. What is it that your edge is, what you're going to bring to it. And also I think decide whether you're going to go it alone or you're going to go for a franchise. And I can talk about franchises now or franchises later, but if you are new to business, it might be worthwhile thinking of going the franchise route first. And the reason for that is that franchises are ready-made business packages. These businesses work. You don't have to worry about whether the customers will buy or not. Well, you still have to work at it, but it's a proven route. You get a support structure, a marketing package is ready, probably a finance package is ready. If you want to go and get a loan to pay for the franchise fees and so on, that's pretty straightforward because the banks know the franchise. So it's a great way of learning how to run a business, because many people who are new to business may have some technical skill they're very good at, a garage mechanic or a florist or a manufacturer or something, or a service provider, but they won't necessarily know how to run a business. So franchising is sometimes a good way of going and learning those how to run a business skills, which you can then, of course, go on your own route later on when you can leave the franchise after a certain number of years and do your own thing.
And most of the time there's a support network and support mechanism behind the scenes,
right.
isn't there?
That's right. And for instance, in Business Doctors, one of the things I really liked was the fact that they have a network of extremely experienced business people. I mean, I'm 25 years in business. They're all 20 plus years in business as well. And so between us, we've got hundreds of years of business experience. There's not many businesses they won't have experienced. So having that network, that community, it's really important. Like in any business, when you start, you have to have a supportive community. Obviously, your family are key. You have to really have a good, long discussion with your family about this. This is not a light little project. This is something that's going to affect you, right? So you have to have that network well and truly behind you. But then also you're building kind of a new network for yourself. If you've been in salaried employment, you've had a kind of ecosystem there which is ready-made, right? If you're self-employed, you have to create that. And I think that's one of the things I realized. That's quite hard work. But it's also good fun. You make new friends along the way. You find out things about yourself that you didn't necessarily know. You find out more strengths, some more weaknesses. But there's always somebody out there who's better than you at something. So find them and ask them. And people are very generous. And in Northamptonshire, I find that particularly good. I found that very friendly. Everybody willing to teach you and give you their lessons of what went wrong for them or what went right for them. And that's good. Lap it up. Be humble. Don't go in there thinking you know everything. Assume you don't. It's always a good starting point. If you look like you are seeking information and seeking help, people are naturally very helpful. They will give you the best advice that they can. So talk to many people, build a very supportive community around you, and enjoy the journey.
So how did you go about creating your own business plan for what you do? And with what you do, obviously business plans are really essential for businesses to move forward. So let's talk about your plan first of all.
Okay, so my plan, I've done a lot of business planning in my life, so it came pretty easy to me. But again, the franchise route, they will offer you a business plan, a kind of template of a business plan. So what I did was I researched into the Northampton business environment, and then changed the business plan or updated it according to the data that I found there. Back to my earlier point about doing your homework. It's look before you leap is the best pieces of advice you can give. You can never do enough. Actually, in Northamptonshire, you're blessed because you have BIPC, SEMLEP. You've got those kind of organisations that are offering help, for startups, people who are there. Their job is to help you get going. And in Northampton Library, there's an amazing database that you can, with a library card, you can get access to some very sophisticated databases to do some market research. So I did the market research, plugged the numbers into the business plan, but really the most important thing you've got to think about with your business plan is what benefit are you going to give the customers? Think of the story that you're going to tell. Imagine you're trying to sell this to somebody across the table, They're going to want to see the numbers, right? Of course. But the numbers are generated from a concept. You have to have a sales concept or something, a marketing concept that is interesting to the customers, because it's unlikely you'll be doing something that's never been done before. You're doing something that's already been done by hundreds, if not thousands of people. So you have to think about what benefit is it that the customers are missing today or would like that you can give. And also, I think you've got to think about the team that you're going to have around you. If you're going to build a business that has a small group of people, they have to feature big in the business plan because they're an essential part of the delivery. And also, do think about this thing I call the edge. What is the edge that you bring to the marketplace? Why should anybody buy from you? Keep asking yourself that question in everything you do, and the business plan will kind of build itself around that concept. Why would they buy from you? What edge are you bringing? What problem are you solving? And why is it that it's going to be nice and fun and good to do business with you as an individual, as an organization? So a bit of your DNA inside the business. Why is it going to be great doing business with you is a good question to answer in the business plan.
So, started a business obviously attracts challenges.
Yeah.
What sort of challenges have you seen since you launched the business?
Well, I think the transition from salaried employment to self-employment was interesting. I have to say, I've loved it, but you have to be very humble, right? You have to really decide that you're going to learn from scratch, and it's actually best to think about that. I have a lot of experience of being in business, but running your own show is a different thing. So I had to learn how to listen, actively listen to people who are giving you advice, right? And that's a skill you can never stop developing, right? Active listening. I think the other thing is that there are 3 words that are important when you're running your business. One is organization. You have to be organized because no one else is going to do it for you, right? You really have to be on your game. Use the Microsoft tools. Use planning tools if you can. Get into the habit of doing it because they've been developed for people like you. The other thing that's very important is discipline. You have to have a way of controlling yourself. There are things that you need to do: time management, delivery of things, prioritizing the customers. All these things are important, particularly time. You realize very quickly how much time can run away from you if you don't have a disciplined approach to how you use it and how you deploy it. It's very precious. You can't get it back when it's spent. So those 2 words are important. So that's organization, discipline. The final one is passion, right? You have to wake up in the morning and want to do this. So whatever it is you're doing, you really it has to fire you up, because there are going to be those cold, wet, early winter days that you're going to have to get in the car or walk down to the office or whatever it is, or the customer, and do something amazing, right? And be that positive energy and so on. So you have to have that fuel inside you to push you through the hard times, and then to obviously celebrate when everything goes well.
So how do you stand out from the competition?
So the nice thing about Business Doctors, the reason I joined them, is because we don't sell packages or anything. We don't have coaching packages. We don't have courses. We don't do anything like that. They are great. If you want to go on courses, there's plenty of great stuff out there. What we do is we get to know the business, your business, through asking you quite a few questions. And then we listen to what you'd like to solve. So what is the issue you'd like to solve? Where would you like to go with the business? And we sit with you and build a plan specific to your business, right? It's tailored around you, like a good tailor creates a decent suit, right? There's no flappy bits and tabs that are not fitting. It really has to be customized to you. So that's the first part. And then the second part is that we then sit with you and deliver it. Right, so we will be with you over those months and probably years it's going to take, because building a successful business is not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? So this is a long-term relationship. This is not a one-and-done type thing. This is really about, keeping you honest to your own plan. It's your plan, right? It's a business plan. It's not my plan. I helped you create it, but it's your plan. And so delivery is something that is sometimes difficult for owners to do, because they're in the business all the time, working in the business, frantically doing X and Y and Z and 1, 2. You're the T-boy, you're the accountant, you're the marketer, yep. you're the finance person, you're the bill payer. There's all kinds of things, there's all kinds of stuff going on, and that can easily blow you off the kind of long-term course. So having someone like me or having someone like a business doctor helps keep you honest to that plan. And also if changes happen, if upsets happen, storms happen, replan and keep going.
So what advice would you give anybody looking to start their own business?
I think, as I said earlier, do your homework. Really, there's no excuse for not doing it. Northamptonshire is rich with data sources, so be sure you do that. I would say also seek help. Like I said, there's Northampton BIPC, there's SEMLET, there's lots of organizations out there that will help you put a plan together. Seek a network or find a network. Join a network of people like NNBN, like BNI, like all these amazing organizations that have hundreds of people in them who have got thousands of years of experience in business. Go there, listen to them, ask questions. Don't be afraid. People will be more than willing to help you out. So do all that before you write your business plan, and do be honest with yourself in the business plan. Don't write fanciful numbers. Do think about, like I said earlier, have the story very clear, have the edge very clear, and from that and the market research, you will get some numbers that will make sense.
every business should have maybe a long-term goal. Have you set goals for what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm all about growth. I love seeing and being in businesses that are growing. So I'd like to impart to Northamptonshire over the next 5 years. I'd like to do 10 businesses breaking 5 million over the next 5 years. I think it's entirely possible. So if you have a turnover of less than 1 million, I think it's possible to get to 5 in 5 years if you have a good plan, good team, and a high degree of focus and discipline.
So reflecting on your journey so far, what would you say some of the highlights or the biggest successes you've had so far?
Okay, well, I think personally, I think I've got a few clients now, which is ahead of where I was going to be in the business plan. So I'm pleased about that. It's a little personal milestone. Back to my earlier point about milestones, do put them in. Make sure that you keep yourself honest to them because they're there for a reason, right? So do that. I think my other success is remaining married. And my son still talks to me. So there's a kind of little personal victory there as well, because it's very consuming. Going into this your own business, it does consume you. You really have to make sure that you have enough time put aside for the most important network of all, which is your family. And I've done that. It's been tricky. I've had a lot of tellings off from the right people to make sure that that's important. But that was told to me by some very experienced people who were in business and gave me that advice. So I'm spreading it out to anybody who wants to listen. Don't forget your most important network. I've also done a couple of seminars recently, which I got some very warm feedback from, and they have helped connect me with people who have been amazingly useful to me and also are going to turn into clients, I think, in the future.
We all want the bare necessities of life. To have a place we can call home. To have a family that's happy and united. To have protection for your loved ones. To have a good job where you're valued. But life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes we all need a bit of friendly legal expertise to smooth things out. Visit our website to find out more. Wilson Brown Solicitors. We're all the help you need.
So I run Hangar 41. It's a digital marketing agency that started up this year. We're about 4 months old at the moment. Cover off everything from social media strategy through to implementation, website design, graphic design, copywriting, Google Ads, you name it, we can kind of get it done. We're the one-stop shop, I'm hoping, for smaller businesses. My parents, they run their own business as well. Dad actually runs two. And I see the dedication and the effort that they put into it, but all the good things that they get out of it as well. They love it, and having something that's theirs that they've worked on together definitely inspired me to do the same, to build something of my own that I could work on and be proud of. Affordable digital marketing for smaller businesses. A lot of people know that social media is a really good tool to be going and use to promote themselves, but they don't have the time or the knowledge to do it properly. And a lot of these massive creative agencies that you see floating around online, they're charging some stupid prices just for a few Facebook posts or LinkedIn posts, whatever it might be, to get this small business going. That was the gap that I identified. And so providing the marketing support, especially focused around social media, at an affordable price, good value price, was really important to me. Nobody knowing who I was. So, I mean, I've been marketing for about 5 years for various different businesses now. But going into something like this totally on my own and relying on people liking me has been a problem or a challenge. Nobody knowing who I was and having to build my own brand as well as Hangar 41's at the same time has been tough. Oh, I couldn't have done it without everybody around me. You know, NNBN has been a huge help. A lot of my first bits of business came through networking with NNBN. Marie had a look at my website and thought, oh, I can't let him have this, I need to fix it. I've got printers that did my first lot of business cards for me, and lots of people have been very, very helpful, giving me little bits here and there, everything I could kind of wangle myself for free. I got done, everything I could to try and get that first step up. Having the right people around you is just the most important thing there. I'm really lucky in that my friends, my girlfriend, my parents, everybody understands that I've got to give as much time as I can to Hangar 41, but they also don't let me get too carried away. You know, they will say, okay, it's been 3 days, Ben, I haven't seen you, put it down and just come for a beer or come out for some dinner or something, and they'll do their best to kind of drag me away from it. Because I do get a bit overexcited and a bit carried away with that kind of thing. But definitely having the right people around you that recognise you need to spend the time, but also keeping an eye on your well-being and your mental health to say, okay, that's enough now, take a break. Long-term goals are to get the business to a point where I can go hands off, right? That's running itself now with a bit of input from me every now and then. So I can go away and start something new, and try my hand at something else. I have got a bit of an idea for the next thing actually, but no, if we can get to a point where we can support lots and lots and lots of small businesses with their marketing, as well as some larger partners, then I'll be happy. Watching my customers grow is how I get my kicks, and getting them to the point where they can actually take it back off me. They don't need me anymore because I've given them all the tools and all the knowledge to go away and do it themselves. Biggest successes so far. There was one customer that we started from absolute scratch on social media. She had nothing to go on, and we were getting organic leads through Facebook in 3 months. Was a big thing for me. I sort of said to her, it's going to be 6, 9, maybe a year before we actually start to see something come from this, because we've got to build it up and get going. But to get leads coming through in 3 months that she's then going away and securing the contracts for, I was really happy with. And then personally, I got a big new customer a couple of weeks ago, which has taken a lot of the pressure off financially. So I was pleased with that as well. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because I haven't been able to do everything on my own, so it's important that you're able to ask for help. Take every opportunity that comes your way for the business or for you. If somebody invites you to come and do something kind of business related, go and do it, because the sort of the contacts you'll meet and the reach you might get from that you don't know could be huge. And the best bit of advice I got when I was starting it was just get on with it. There's a million reasons not to do something or to do something a bit differently, but if you just stop thinking about it too much and get on with it, you'll definitely see results come through quicker. We primarily focus on social media management. So we look at, in the first instance, going away and creating a strategy that revolves around target audiences, content types, messaging, that kind of thing. Then we move into sort of the creation of social media, so that we look at, if we need to, building all the pages from scratch, going away and doing some templates for the content, copywriting for each post, that kind of thing. Then, if I always say I can be as involved or as absent as you need me to be in this. If you just want me to come along, set it all up, and go, thank you, Ben, that's enough, see you later, that's fine. But we can actually take on the scheduling of everything. So we can do a month's worth of content in a few days, schedule it for the next month, and you haven't got to worry about anything then. It's all been taken care of. And off the back of that, then we look at the analytics and we see, right, how many people have we reached? What do they look like in terms of demographic? And then, okay, how do we then optimise the next month to do even better with this particular audience? What kind of messaging is resonating better with them? What are all your competitors doing? What's working well? What's not? So we try and cover off everything as best we can. Nobody can do it all, but yeah, we do our best. I went a little bit gung-ho with it. Start of this year, I quit my 9 to 5, and then I went on holiday. And then I came back and sort of thought, right, well, now I've got a month to get everything in place before we go. And so that was things like getting my own social media and website sort of set up, building a really rough business plan kind of outline of what I wanted everything to look like, making a list of everybody that I knew that might be interested in what I do, going away and doing a bit of research. And I sort of thought, who's hiring a social media manager? Brilliant, I'll go and talk to them, because I think I could save them some money, and there's certain advantages and disadvantages to outsourcing. But I made that list. I tried to work on some literature and some content types for myself. And then before I knew it, the deadline was there, and I was leaving my comfortable job and going into something really, really scary. I just sort of thought, right, well, the rest of it I'm going to have to learn on the go. I'm just going to have to figure out how to do it. I think I regret going in with so little structure. And if I was going to do it again, I'd have spent a bit more time prepping for it. But it's done now, so it's time to crack on.
So I'm Shehnaaz Latif, and I'm the founder of T.O.O.T Services, and T.O.O.T stands for Tell Others Out There. So it's a testimonial gathering and social proof company. Creation of my business is inspired by the fact that I don't think businesses, especially small businesses, and I've got to say female-led businesses, don't tend to shout about what they do. It tends to be that we get on, we do our work, the next week passes, we've got our to-do list, and we know for a fact that word of mouth is probably the best way to market any business. And if you don't get that information, if you don't ask people, what difference have I made? Where were you when you started and where are you now? If you don't actually get that information, you don't have the things that you need to shout about in your business. So I think we were just being very quiet about our businesses, and I wanted to fix that. And I think there's reasons why that happens, and I'm really happy to share more about that. I think that there's a combination of being a little bit embarrassed and a little bit of a worry that when you've finished working with a client, then you feel like that's the service done and they've paid for it, and so we kind of move on. And when we ask people to give testimonials, it's almost like it's a new transaction or it's a new commitment. And actually that gives us a little bit, as business owners, it makes us feel like we're asking for more from our clients who've already paid us for our service. And I think we need to get over that. This is a great question. I don't really believe in competition. I think it's more about how does the work that I do complement what others do. Now, I'm not a marketing professional, but I see that perhaps testimonial gathering might sit in the field of marketing. So if there are people out there, and there are many who are doing marketing, this is probably one of the things that they would do as part of their work. And similarly, things like PR, evaluation, research, these are all kind of complementary disciplines to what I'm doing. So my service is quite a niche one because it's very much specialising on getting the stories from clients. So customer feedback is a massive piece for me. I've got to walk my talk, right, Simon? There's no point actually saying to everyone out there that social proof is really important to get if I'm not getting that for myself. So whenever I do workshops, you've been on one of them, I always ask people to give me some feedback. So that's through an online questionnaire, and I try to make those really easy and simple. And then I look at those, and then I reflect on what it is that people have told me about the workshops. The length, the pace, the content, all of that, my approach and what they've learned from that. And then I use that to then create the next set of workshops or other offers that I have. So feedback for me is massive. But I think feedback is different to testimonials, because feedback is what you use internally to learn and to grow. You don't have to share that with the outside world. Whereas I think testimonials are those good news stories that you absolutely want for yourself, motivationally, but also to share out there to attract the potential clients that are waiting to hear from you. So number one on my list every day is self-care. And that might be a yoga class, it might be a workout, it might just be a walk in the park. But I put that in green on my calendar, so it's conveying peace and it's something for me. And our calendars get really cluttered with all the service we want to do to everyone else. You cannot serve others if you haven't served yourself, is what I've learnt. And I'm a mum, I'm busy with life, I'm busy with the clients that I definitely want to serve. But for me, it's about putting those things in from the beginning that are not negotiable. And it might just be 25 minutes, it doesn't have to be long, but it does have to be there. So that would be my tip and it's my tip to my future self, to always put that self-care in, because I think the more we want to progress, the more we have to rest. So in my dream space, when I think about where T.O.O.T can go from now, I foresee an academy where people have actually taken the T.O.O.T system. They know how to tell others out there. They know how to put a system in place that helps them to gather feedback and recommendations and testimonials. And actually, they're now accredited to do that. So there might be virtual assistants that come to the academy, and that's then a service they can offer to people they assist. It might be that there's a coaching company that puts testimonial gathering on their certification, and I'd be at the forefront of that. But ultimately, I would love to have, and I do have a few associates already, but I'd love to have a number of associates who take the T.O.O.T system and use that, so that more small businesses are able to shout from the rooftops or very loudly whisper about the work that they're doing and the transformation that they're making. So I think I'm still in the challenging phase, because it's only been a year since I've gone limited, and I did actually trial the service when I was doing that kind of fee-free initially. Now it's a case of really getting the right price tag for the right services that I'm offering. What I've found is that it's often a negotiation. So I will have in my mind what I think the value of the service is, because whilst my business is new, my expertise is 20 years in the making. So I've got to find a way to value my service and meet the client's expectations for price. So that's one of my biggest challenges always, is to find the right price. The second struggle for me has been, do I need to do this for people, with people, or do they need to do it themselves? And I've found that when I've offered the capability building, the do-it-yourself piece, people have been less forthcoming. Whereas if I've said, this is what I can do, would you like me to do it for you? They've gone, yes, please. So it's really important to know, I think, who your market are and who has time, capability, interest in the piece that you're doing. Now, we all have, say, the accountant, okay? If we don't want to do our own accounts, we get the accountant. Do you have a testimonial gatherer? Do you have someone who does your PR, your social media marketing, and so on? So it's really about recognizing what is going to be coming off the list and being outsourced to somebody else. And I found that a little bit of a tricky balance to strike. The successes have been when people give me the feedback where they've said, well, we absolutely love what you've shared with us, the nuggets that we've learnt during training, or when I've done a piece of work, the Done For You service, and people have blogged about that and written articles and used my testimonials that I've gathered for them from their clients in their own social media. That's been an absolute highlight for me, and I absolutely love meeting people, whether that's online or in person, and reading those testimonials that then end up on their website. And I guess for me also, having the highlight of getting recommendations on my own LinkedIn profile that show that I'm, really good at what I do. So there's been wins from my clients and there's been wins for me personally. I love the flexibility. I love listening to stories. That is the passion behind all of this. And I think if I didn't like listening and if it was just a job to do, I would not be doing this still a few years later. So that's been my absolute joy throughout this business. So a recommendation, the kind of thing that you see on LinkedIn, right, is somebody saying, well, I recommend this service, I've used the service, and so was really great and I learned a lot. And it's quite small, quite short, and it's quite immediate, and which is great. That's what we need. We need our LinkedIn profiles to be filled with those recommendations. A testimonial has a slightly different rhythm to it. It takes a bit of a longer time because it's a story. It's got ups and downs, it's got twists and turns. It's about the journey that the client went through. Now, I don't want to give all of this away, but I do have a methodology, an approach which has 7 steps in it to get not just any old testimonial, but a sparkling testimonial where you're actually following the journey of the client. So that is where I'd like to draw the distinction between a quick, easy, really good, important recommendation and a slightly more depthful testimonial. All my offers, all my services and all my invitations are on my website, which is www.tootservices.co.uk. And I also have a link tree that is /Toot Services, where you can jump straight on and book some of the workshops that I have offered every month. You can come in actually also to my free Fridays. Now, my free Fridays are about connecting and celebrating, because maybe, just maybe, if you took 25 minutes at the end of the week to pat yourself on the back for what it is that you've achieved, you'll get used to telling others out there about the difference that you're making. So I offer that as a free space to connect with other businesses and to give yourself the opportunity to celebrate your weekly wins. Disbelief, partly because you think actually it all works in my head, and I've had some of the kind of beta testing of these things, but is someone actually going to pay real money for this? It's been joyous, and it was a bit like buses. I had hay bales for a little while, and then it was 3 at once, all clients coming in at the same time at different price ranges and with different needs, and that feeling of being able to bespoke what I do for the business that I'm working with is also really important. I'm not an HR professional, but I've worked with an HR business. I'm not an IT specialist, but I've worked with a small business that helps others with their IT. So there's very different clients out there, and that feeling of being able to, a bit like a chameleon, kind of work with any business, it's just brilliant, and I love it. So my top tip for starting a business is it's not your baby. It's its own entity. If you are already a parent, keep it that way. Your business is another being. And so for me, it's got to have its own assets. It's detached from you. Yes, you're part of it and you're in it a lot of the time, but you're also the boss of that business, and you're the chief, I want to say, not chief executive officer, but the chief energy officer in that business. So you've really got to think about where you're going to draw the line between you and your business. It goes back to our earlier point about the life and the work balance, is that you need to draw that line. So I disagree with anyone that says a business is like a baby. It's absolutely not. It's a whole other being. And that makes it also a bit of a protection around you. You can draw boundaries around it and say, the business needs this, but I need something else. For me, legalities and financials, those were the things that I really needed help on. Now, I had done a couple of financial foundation courses, and I talked to local kind of accountants, and really got some help around the legalities and the accountancy part of things. But my main motivation for turning this into a limited company is that point earlier about making it its own entity, because I do have freelance work and I can work as a solopreneur and a self-employed individual, but having an absolutely different entity, a business, that's something different. So I'm still learning about all the things that it takes to look after this different being, and there are things there that I'm sure I'll have made mistakes on, but hopefully they're not legal or financial. Oh, goodness me. Do you know, entrepreneurship is in my family's blood, but that is not something that was on the table for me. And I absolutely went through a system in this country that I'm grateful for to a degree, but also just feel like there were so many things missing. And entrepreneurship was not on the table.
At Wilson Brown, our family law team deals with all things concerning relationships and what happens when they break down. We deal with everything from disputes about the family home and other assets to how your children are cared for. With all options considered, including mediation, we'll help you consider the needs of everyone involved and find the best way forward so you can make the right decisions for the future. With Wilson Brown Solicitors, we're all the help you need.
I own a cleaning business. It's called Phoenix Cleaners. We provide cleaning services around Northamptonshire, both commercial and residential cleaning services. So that's what we do. And as I said, we started in August last year, but only properly got in when I quit my full-time job in February this year. And since there, I tried everything to just get out there, get clients, and build the business up. It's been going quite well. We're trying to find our niche at the moment because it feels like we're doing a bit of everything, which is of course great, but my main aim for this year is to be able to say that we specialize into a particular area so we can make the most for our clients. And so we are venturing serviced accommodation now and also post-construction cleans. So that's basically where we are with everything. It was my mum, actually. I've always had an entrepreneurial dream of becoming a business owner, but I never thought it was going to be so soon. I worked in an accountancy practice, so I had the background of bookkeeping, administration, and all that sort of thing. That was the main reason why I chose to go into an accountancy practice. And I did tell my previous employer that from the start it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to be an accountant as much as it was to gain the knowledge so I can one day run my own business. And my mum, she's been a cleaner for about 8 years now, and she, in the last period, she started struggling in terms of not enjoying the work she was doing, not necessarily the work as much as the team she was working with. And so seeing my mum struggle, of course, wasn't easy as a daughter, and I just saw an opportunity and I took it. I basically told my mum that it's either going to be you that quits her job or it's going to be me. And we decided that it's going to be me that quit her job and went full-time into this. But my last day at work, she decided to quit her job as well. So it was all a roller coaster of emotions. But once we got the startup stage out the way, we managed to build quite a beautiful client base, and now she's happy. Every time she goes to work, she's really excited to see the next client because she's truly building relationships. The client truly appreciates what she does, and it just, of course, grows my heart to see that, and it just motivates me to go further and further because I know what she can provide in terms of her own abilities to do the cleaning, but also to train other people to provide the best cleaning service for others as well. So back in August last year, we only had one client, and that client we obtained via Facebook. I started messaging around 100 to 200 people, seeing if anyone was interested, and considering our prices were fairly low, we did get a couple of leads, but only one actually went through, which was the client. And we were with that particular client, it was a pub, from August since December, but they closed the pub down, unfortunately. So January and February we had no clients, and so I realized that if I was going to quit my job, I had to really work myself off to be able to get clients and get a client base. So I started door knocking, I started cold calling, I started marketing on Facebook, I started everything that in the books known for a cleaning business to get clients out there. And fortunately, everything that we've tried and worked. Basically, cold calling worked. We managed to get a few clients of that. Door knocking worked really well, thankfully, although there was a lot of rejection, I must say. And so that was the first initial steps. I always say that as long as you're able to get clients, you've got a business, and the systems that you put in place are just there to keep the clients. But if you're able to get clients, you're in business. So my main focus, my first step was, okay, big question, how do I get clients? And so I just made a list and I went for it, and I worked for February and March was only about getting clients. And once I managed to get a decent client base, that's when I thought, okay, I've started this, but can I keep it? And so that's when I started to put systems in place. I started to work with other business owners to delegate some areas such as marketing, so I can focus on making sure that I provide the best cleaning service and making sure that the admin side of a cleaning business is also taken care of, because a cleaning business is not just about cleaning, it's about maintaining clients, being reliable for your clients, and making sure that if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do something. And it's simple things such as raising an invoice and sending it to the client when you say you're going to send it off. And the client will base their trust upon those little things that you do consistently. So if I say I'm going to do something, I must make sure that I've got the systems in place to push me to do them. And so the next stage in that was to build those systems up and to make sure I'm staying accountable to those. My biggest success, and this is more of a personal answer, but my biggest success is seeing my mum being fulfilled, being the fact that I know that I was the one to take her out of the workforce because she wasn't happy, and putting her in a much better position is the biggest success for me. In terms of professional success, is just obtaining the clients that we obtained. Our most recent success is working with a construction company and carrying out our first post-construction cleans. My biggest challenge would be rejection. I think that door knocking is something scary for anybody, but particularly for me because I had no background of doing such thing, and there was no employer that I could rely upon if every time I was getting rejected. And I was doing it 5 days a week and about 50 to 60 doors, and 45 out of them would just say no straight away. And having a rejection put through your face so straight up, it was tough. But after the second or third day, I started to get used to it, and it started to become comfortable in a weird sense. And so I started to say, okay, if I'm comfortable with this, I can just continue to do it and just continue, because the worst they can say is no. So I said, okay, I can do it, and I managed to break through the challenge. But I've noticed that with door knocking, it's if you do it for a long period of time, you get comfortable with it. But if you stop for a period of time and then you want to go back into it, that's the hardest thing to do as well. So just keeping yourself accountable to everything that you plan, it was definitely a challenge. I would say, think about, I know this is a very common answer to this question, but think about your why. Why are you doing this? And after you thought about your why, think about, try to plan ahead as much as you can, but also understand that you won't be able to plan for everything. There are always going to be things that will crop up that you did not expect at all. And so expect that as well. and just go for it. I would definitely say that the biggest thing that you can do for yourself is try out, and I would definitely recommend young individuals to do it, especially because the sooner you start, the better for you. Even if it fails, the skills that you get when you start a business like this, or any other business, they're going to be beneficial to both in your professional and personal life. So there's really no real risk. It's worth it. You've got one life. So I think anyone should do it, regardless of the outcome. You can only control how much you put in. At the start it was difficult because I was used to being able to rely upon someone. I was fortunate enough to have a really good employer who was supporting me both in my professional and personal life, and so it was difficult waking up in the morning knowing that I'm solely responsible for all my for all the responsibilities for the entire business itself. So the fact that I knew that it was me and only me was the most difficult thing to accept in the transition from employment to self-employment. But again, once you get comfortable with the uncomfortable, if you're able to push through, and if it is for you, then it's something that is just a matter of time. My long-term goals are to become a cleaning service known for the trust that a client can have in us, and our reliability and our quality cleaning services. And I want us to be known throughout all Northamptonshire and maybe further, and just continue to grow, continue to help people not only get the best out of cleaning, but also help others find reliable jobs, provide jobs for other people, especially for people that are coming from different countries and perhaps are not fluent in English and are looking for a job that will give them the skills, but also allow them for opportunities in the future.